All right, we have the first game of this new season of SPL, or Smokin' Premier League. It is a big deal because it is the most exciting event in the Pokesphere for many of us, because it is a team tournament and everything gets magnified when you are playing not just for yourself, but for your teammates. So, whether you are getting extra glory for carrying them or extra shame for dragging them down. Great motivators. Anyway, I am a big fan of ORAS, so I'm very glad to see that as the first game. And I also really like seeing two Volcanions in team preview. I've managed to avoid the result of this game as planned. So, looking at the teams, I like PJ's a lot. It fits my preferences, my style, because it's a balanced team with overlapping defenses out the wazoo. There's so many different ways that this can take on the many threats of the metagame, and I really like that. A lot of the synergy comes from Hippo's Sand, which not just doesn't just activate Extra Sand Rush, but also gives Mega Diancie a special defense boost. So you have another way of taking on Volcarona, for example, which is very good in this landscape where hyper offense teams can drop you at the drop of a hat. So I also love the double regenerator core, and of Amoonguss and Torntherian. I love the double anti-hazard duo of Mega Diancie's Magic Bounce and Sandrush Excadrill's Rapid Spin, which helps because you have two Stealth Rock weak Pokemon. And Torn T, of course, has a regenerator, so it's not that affected by rocks, even though with rocks up it'll never be higher than 75%. But Volcanion, not so well off. So if you can support it, then Volcanion's still a great Pokemon, even if it takes rocks, of course. But it's so much better. It's like Gyarados in DPP. When you don't have to deal with rocks, then it's just nightmarish. So, yeah, I really like the defense and offense. I like that it's a very bulky team, very defensively apt team that still has all the tools in the world to actually hit the opponent hard. So Nico's team, on the other hand, is a little more inscrutable. Yeah, good start to the morning. It's a little more inscrutable because it doesn't really... it makes sense to me until I see the crests. With Diancie, D-Knight, Weavile, Volcanion, Excadrill, it looks like a bulky offense team. And the crest is throwing me off a little bit because crest is generally seen on hyper offense teams with things like Subcalm Mind, Protect Suicune, and Leaf Storm Superior. These Pokemon that are really, really dangerous but might run out of PP before they finish the opponent off. And that's why you use Crest there over another Healing Wisher like Latias, because Crest's Lunar Dance will restore their PP. So suddenly you have a new Suicune with 16 subs and protects again late in the game, or Superior with 8 Leaf Storms. And you don't have to use it for that purpose, of course. You can just Lunar Dance it like you would a Healing Wish to Volcarona or whatever it is. So it's generally seen there. So I am interested to see what kind of set it's going to be bringing on this more bulky offense-looking thing. Because it's not, a fast-paced, boost-spamming kind of hyper-offense team. There's not going to be... I guess the Crest could set dual screens. We don't know what set the Crest is going to be. It could be dual screens, could be Trick Scarf. But yeah, this isn't the kind of superior screens team plus, Manaphy, Volcarona, and other monsters. No, Diancie doesn't really set up. I guess it could Calm Mind or Rock Polish. That would be something. But, a Sandless Excadrill, it's not going to be Swords Dancing. Weavile, not going to be Swords Dancing probably. Dragonite, Dragon Dancing, sure, but Volcanion doesn't set up. So I think it's just going to be more in the bulky offense route with the Volcarona, with the Cresselia. Okay, let's get started. The lead matchup. Well, Volcanion. Yes, I was hoping it would be double Volcanion to lead off. Okay, that's cool. So, unless they have Earth Power, they're not really threatening each other. And they're not going to be OHKOing each other unless they're Specs, which is the rarest of all. I don't think PJ's going to be Specs. I think his balance team likes the longevity of leftovers too much for things like Mega Scizor and Weavile. So, obviously you have to avoid Weavile's knockoff. Now that I look at it, though, PJ's team does not like Weavile at all. Yeah, Icicle Crash hits everything except Volcanion really hard, and Volcanion obviously doesn't want to get knocked off. And if rocks are up and Weavile hits the field, then that's really dangerous. So Weavile is definitely the scariest thing for PJ to face. Yeah, meanwhile, most of the time, Volcanions are only going to threaten each other through Toxic, if they have it. So, yeah, I think PJ's team, it could be Protect, Toxic, or like Haze or Roar or something to help deal with sub Suicunes, or Roar Suicunes for that matter. But yeah, I think I like the idea on his team of it being a more offensive Volcanion because it is naturally so tanky already, and you want it hitting hard. But it could go either way. That's more of a player preference thing, I think. Whereas Nico's is definitely going to be on the more aggressive side. So there we see Protect, a Scout, and it subs. Now the thing is that going to be sub-toxic? Because if it's not sub-toxic, it doesn't really threaten PJ's Volcanion. If it is sub-toxic, then that is a major problem because it kills everything else with its stabs, and Toxic's Volcanion, which can't really hurt it. I guess it doesn't kill Tornadus Therian with its stabs, but necessarily, but it does a lot. And there we see that the Torn T is Assault Vest, which is a very unusual choice nowadays. I mean, I still think AV Torn is fine, but it has mostly been eclipsed in favor of Rocky Helmet, because AV used to be a big deal for helping take on things like Keldeo and Manaphy, but especially Keldeo when that ruled the metagame. I don't know why Keldeo is so forgotten. I think it's so silly. But it's... I think it might be redundant on this kind of team because when you've got Hippo, Amoonguss, Sandrush, Excadrill, because Assault Vest Torn T would also help with dealing things like Mega Alakazam, but I think that's kind of covered. You even have the Sand boosted Mega Diancie for special defense, so I don't know. I mean, that said, it is the one really good argument for it being AV Torn T is Volcanion. As you see, this thing is kind of a nightmare to deal with. So, yeah, and if that Weavile pursues the Torn T, then it's just terrifying. Incidentally, this is also why Roar on Volcanion is awesome for random sub-Pokemon trying to block it. So that was a great Steam Eruption by Nico, expecting some sort of pivot to try and dodge it. I mean, I don't think that Excadrill or Amoonguss, the two Toxic Immune Pokemon, would really be happy with switching into Toxic because then they still have there's still a very free Steam Eruption or Flamethrower for them. Actually, Flamethrower hits both. What am I talking about? But I guess it prevents any pivoting. Like, if you can get out ahead, get out in front of your opponent trying to pivot around something, very often, very early in the game, when you know that pivot is coming on the first turn before you started getting into the weeds of, oh, now they're going to stand. Now they're going to this and that. If you can do that right away, then you have such a huge advantage. So I like the Steam Eruption there, especially because it's not really very high risk. Also, he might not even have a move that can actually hit the Volcanion. We don't know yet. So, I like that Steam, and PJ, is using his best option, and it gets burned right away, so never mind. That's going to be dead. He's going to Hurricane, sacrifice it, and then go to, what, Excadrill, scare it out? EQ doesn't even kill... Well, I guess it depends on the Volcanion EVs, but yeah, so he's going to scare it out. There's Balloon Excadrill, so definitely Sandrush. Is he going to double? He can't just... Yeah, I know he's so terrified of the Volcanion, he just has to EQ, and that's a problem because that makes it very easy to play around. I was thinking, does he double the Hippo there and get rocks up? Because that would help a lot. I mean, Nico's team has 3 Stealth Rock weeks, and he also has the combination of Mega Diancie and Excadrill, but Mega Diancie has not Mega Evolved yet, and it doesn't really take on Hippo very well. Neither does Exca. So, yeah, I think he needs to get up. Now, I feel like Nico's going to double switch to Volcanion or Weavile to try and take advantage of the very obvious Hippo. So, there's Hippo. Nope, he just DDs right away, just going for it. Alright, I think, if I'm PJ, I rock, though. I think you gotta rock, because if the D-Knight the D-Knight outrages, then you just go to Diancie. And yeah, you don't want to take the damage on Hippo for nothing, that's gonna, suck later, but the Excadrill's not gonna really threaten you, you can heal on that, it's Hippo, it's gonna take the hits well, and you really need to exert some form of pressure in return, because if you play reactively and just try to answer all of Nico's Pokemon, you are not going to win. You need to exert some sort of pressure in return because you do not have the tools to outlast him. So you have to get up rocks and put yourself in a position to where, I mean, Jesus Christ, Sandrush Excadrill? I mean, okay, yeah, Weavile is terrifying for Nico's team, but Rush Excadrill is maybe even worse for, Weavile is terrifying for PJ's team, but Rush Excadrill is arguably even worse for Nico's team. So he's just got to get rocks up, pressure, break the Excadrill sash. There is a possibility that it's sash lead Excadrill. So break the Exca sash, and send in your... And keep Hippo alive, obviously. That is PJ's way to victory. So he's going to... Oh, he's not going to outrage. He's going to EQ, and it bounces off, and he does get up the rocks. Okay, that's a great move. Now, is Nico going to DD on the slack off? No, he's EQing. Oh, okay, he does not want to lock in an outrage. The EQ isn't doing much. Oh, and I notice also that the Hippo does not have lefties. Could be Rocky Helmet, could be Smooth Rock. If it is Smooth Rock, that's really good for Excadrill. I think it would be unlikely. I think it's likelier that it's Rocky Helmet, but yeah. So there's yet another EQ and another slack off. So now is Nico going to unleash the outrage? Nope, he's gonna EQ and Whirlwind drags in. Oh, Volcanion as sand runs out too. That's an unfortunate Whirlwind. That really sucks. And now okay, so it's not Smooth Rock, so it was Rocky Helmet. Now he sacks Hippo, and now he can't use I mean, I know he's in between a rock and a hard place here, but as soon as you lose Hippo, you lose the game, it feels like, because of Excadrill. Because now you can't use Sand Excadrill for everything. Okay, I might be over-exaggerating a little bit, because Exca still outruns Volcanion. It has Balloon for Nico's own Excadrill. Weavile doesn't kill... Well, actually, Band Weavile does kill offensive Excadrill, so never mind. But you outrun Dragonite, and you can take a hit from Diancie. Well, maybe. E-Power hits non-bulky Excadrill. Yeah, okay, so never mind. I'm not saying Excadrill can't still do something, but it would have been... In Sand, it's a completely different game. So now Exca comes in again, EQs, in comes Cress. And I guess, again, Lunar Dance to D-Knight, and... That's pretty much... Well, Amoonguss is No, he's going to T-Wave there. Nice move, against Excadrill, because he's not really threatened by anything. He can just kind of afford to... T-Wave on anything else is great, and if Excadrill stays in... I mean, that Crest might be Rocky Helmet as its item. Mental Herb is also used on these kinds of things, so you can't taunt it and stop its Lunar Dance. But yeah, that might actually be Rocky Helmet, so if the extra Iron Heads, then it just puts itself into Diancie range or Weavile range or something. So, not to mention, I'm sure it has Ice Beam so it can pop the balloon. And PJ obviously wants to preserve the balloon if he can. So, Amoonguss is in, and at least Amoonguss is going to get a Spore off. And Volcanion is put to sleep because... Yeah, I mean, Volcanion is scary, but with the Diancie going to get its Mega off, probably now, maybe, I think an Excadrill double is coming here. So, from Nico. Then... Yeah, I can see Volcanion with, rocks digging into it and it being slower than Diancie, and a Mega Diancie. And Excadrill, then, yeah, I can see wanting to preserve something else instead. So, yeah, for PJ, I wondered, does he want to get the Diancie Mega off? Does he want to go to it now? And would Nico assume that and go to Excadrill because it also gets a spin-off against Amoonguss? So the only way that PJ can really block a spin is go to his own Excadrill. I mean, going to his own Excadrill is hardly a bad move here. It's just because it also scares out the Volcanion if it tries to stay in. And it does pretty well against everything else. And it beats Nico's Exca 1-on-1 because of Balloon. I mean, theoretically, Nico could win the speed tie and get the spin off, but that's risky. So, yeah, he's not going to go to Volcanion. So it's Diancie or Excadrill. And Excadrill seems more obvious, so I'm wondering, can Nico... I mean, does Nico need to do anything about it, though? I mean, he can just stay and try to burn sleep turns, and if Excadrill comes in, then I guess by that rationale, he could just go to Excadrill, and he can... And if he gets the one-on-one against Diancie, great. And if he gets the one-on-one against Excadrill, if it's an Excadrill mirror match, then he could just go back to Cress as planned. So that is higher upside, so I think he might do that. Yep, there's Exca. And Amoonguss... Oh, no, he does double switch to Exca. So, yeah, that was the right move from Nico, and the right move from PJ, so very nicely done. So, oh, it's not Sasha Excadrill, it's lefties. Okay. So, oh, he just goes for the speed tie and wins it. Oh, that felt dirty. Oh, wait, no, I take it back. I think he might have known it wasn't a speed tie because it's Sand Excadrill, so it's not going to be Jolly. Almost surely. Because if you're going to be running Sand Exca, then you want as much power on as possible to take advantage of the double speed. So when you're faster than everything, you actually kill as much as you can. And Jolly's extra speed is just going to be redundant. So with that in mind, he decided, okay, it's going to be Adamant Excadrill. which is a very, that was a great move for that reason. So nicely done. He pops a balloon, which only matters if Diancie has Earth power, but if it is, that's a big change. And yeah, and if it is Jolly Excadrill on a Sand team, which again, very unlikely, then it's still a 50% at worst. But I think in some situations, people try to play very, very safely, and then it winds up burning them. And there is, very much such a thing as playing too safe. And that would have been it. It's like, oh, well, what if it's Jolly Sandwich Excadrill? It's like, well, you can't be too precious about it because, if the only way that you're going to lose this is if you play so safe. I mean, he's very far ahead, so he might just, ride on his coattails, the coattails of his matchup at this point to victory anyway. But if you don't want to give PJ that chance. Same rationale behind Steam Eruptioning against the Volcanion earlier. It's like, if you catch that Amoonguss, I guess Amoonguss you would be looking for a burn. If you catch that Excadrill or whatever, even the way he Steam Eruptioned the Torrentine and got the immediate burn, that was much better than Toxicing it, because with Toxic, then, Hurricane, it can take a Steam Eruption, it can U-turn out, regen, and, with the burn, then Torn was immediately put out of commission. So that kind of thing. Putting them away before they can, what's it called? Mount a comeback. Stepping on their throat, as Goki used to say. So now popping the Excadrill balloon is actually huge because now D-Knight can EQ it. So barring an Ironhead flinch, because this is multi-scale and not inner focus, then yeah, now it's just going to DD, EQ everything in sight. I guess try to force an Outrage against some Mungus, but if it has Fire Punch, then no dice. Yeah, so I guess it doesn't have E-Speed. Or it doesn't have Outrage, but, somehow I doubt that. Now, Volcanion can live at +1 EQ because it's so crazy bulky. Can it kill in return? Okay, yeah, I'm being crazy. Steam Eruption is insanely strong. So it does survive, but at this point, Weavile Diancie is just going to finish everything. So there is EP. He preserves. He doesn't Mega, interestingly. I guess he safely Megas now. I guess he maybe wants the extra bulk on his own Diancie to withstand hits from the opposing Diancie just in case. So that's a nice move. I like that. And we do see, because it's not like Mega-ing is going to give him any sort of major advantage here. So yeah, I mean theoretically, I guess if Excadrill comes in and takes an EP, then it survives. But in that case, you just protect and finish it off anyway. So. Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. So Crest does reveal itself to be Rocky Helmet, and here's going to be what? A Moonlight. Okay, not a Lunar Dance. What would he even Lunar Dance to? Diancie and Weavile are at full health. So I think he doesn't even need a Lunar Dance. He just needs to knock Excadrill into range for everything, yeah. So now Volcanion is going to get sacrificed, and then Weavile will come in, and that'll be the game. Or I guess Diancie can come in and protect. Maybe it doesn't have protect. But no, now it knocks off. Oh, Icicle. Oh, no. I guess maybe because... Oh, there's no way knockoff doesn't KO, even though the extra lost its balloon and is itemless. I mean, maybe if it's not like... Well, if it's not banned or Life Orb Weavile, then it would be Sash, and Sash you don't care if you... Yeah, I don't know. It's going to Icicle Crash. Yeah, that does nothing, as it adds Diancie, preserves its bulk as well. Diamond Storm takes it out, and now it's going to be, yeah, hoping that you, super crit, because it's not even enough to crit. Oh, I take it back. Wow, that did so much. Okay, so I guess a crit could have won the game. So, yeah, that wound up being really close. I mean, I think you also have to crit the Cresselia, though. Oh, actually, wow, that's really something. Well, if the Weavile, I mean, the odds were not good at all, because you have to avoid, an Icicle Crash flinch, and I guess it could have missed on the next turn. But yeah, Icicle Crash, if it didn't flinch, then it would, and you crit the Diancie, then you can survive the Crest Ice Beam. But I mean, that's a lot of luck. But yeah, with how close this game wound up being, I just wonder how different it would have been if Hippo had been preserved, and there was a Sand Excadrill to be wielded here. So. Yeah, I mean, I know that dance around the Volcanion was going to be very difficult no matter what. But yeah, so that's basically it. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you again in the next one. And I hope we see a lot of Volcanions in ORAS this year, because it's such a great Pokemon. Alright, see you in the next one.